integers. What are they? Let's start learning about them. Now at this point, you've already been exposed to natural numbers, which are your counting numbers starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, and whole numbers, which is the same thing, just starting at 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. Okay? Integers is just an extension of that going in the opposite direction. Positive number is any number greater than 0 or a natural number. Looking at our number line, those are the numbers 1 and 2 and so on. 0, of course, is 0. It's considered neither positive nor negative. And then a negative number is any number that is less than 0. It's a lot like subtraction, and it goes the opposite direction. -1, -2, -3, -4, and so on. Okay? We're going to be doing a lot with number lines here today that I know you're already familiar with in order to really visualize what's happening. Okay? Now the two key ideas that we're going to get to at some point are absolute value and opposites. Opposites are simply the number itself and its positive or negative equivalent. The -2, +2, +1, -1, -58, and +58 are all opposites. And then absolute value, it's the distance from 0. And the whole idea here is the absolute value is always positive. So the number 2 is 2 little hops away from 0. So it has an absolute value of 2. But the number -2 is also 2 hops away from 0, just happens to be in the other direction. So the absolute value of -2 is also 2. But we're going to get more into that a little bit later as this video goes on. But an integer is the set of all the positive counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on, the negative numbers, and of course the number 0, which is neither positive nor negative. So let's locate 12 and its opposite on a number line. Well, here's a number line. And let's go ahead and start at 0. And we're going to need to go to +12. Positive is the right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's a lot of unnecessary lines here, especially if I'm not going to label them. I'm going to show you a little trick to deal with that on the next slide. But to the left, the opposite, same thing. It's 12, but the opposite. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Need a little bit more space there. And this is -12. +12, -12. There you go. Simple as that. Let's locate -38 and its opposite on the number line. My goodness, last time we did 12. Do you remember all those unnecessary lines that we had to do? Do you really feel like putting out 38 lines for this? I certainly don't. And you know, we're not really doing anything in particular, so let me show you a little cheat. Here is the middle, 0, and there's -38. There's a distance here of 38 units. And because I'm going to try and be as precise as possible, I will make what looks to be about the same distance to the right. And you already know what the answer is, don't you? It's +38. And those are the opposites. So let's take a look at comparing these numbers. Of course, the positive number is always going to be greater than a negative number. The farther you go to the right on a number line, the bigger the number gets. So if we're going to put less than, greater than, or equal to, positive 5 is definitely going to be greater than negative 10. But what about if the numbers are both negative, like in B? Remember what that number line looked like when we started going from 0? Here was 0. Here was negative 1, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4. What's bigger, negative 1 or negative 4? Well, negative 1 is farther to the right on the number line. Negative 1 is the bigger number. Even though under normal circumstances, if we were dealing with positive numbers, 4 is bigger than 1. Remember that negative numbers are counting backwards. They're going the opposite direction. So the number negative 1 is closer to 0 or farther to the right than the number negative 4. So let's bring this back to part B of this exercise here. Negative 19 and negative 12. Well, if they were both positive, which one would be the bigger one? 19 would be the bigger one. But they're both negative. So the opposite is true. And negative 12 is the larger one. Negative 19 is less than negative 12. And we can use the same logic for part C, where they are again both negative. We have negative 26 and negative 58. If they were both positive, 58 would be the larger of the two. But since they are negative, the numbers go in reverse. So 26 is actually the larger one. Negative 26 is greater than negative 58. So keeping that in mind, what if we have a list of numbers and we need to put them in order on a number line? Now, what I like to do is to go ahead and determine where they're going to need to be first before we do anything else. Like we have the numbers 5 and 2. We know it's going to go 2 and then 5 at the end. The other ones are negative. And where we have negative 10, negative 3, and negative 6. And remember, that counts backwards. So it's going to go 10, 6, 3, all of which being negative. Okay? So that's a nice way to just kind of think about it ahead of time. So here comes our number line. And let's just start on the far left at negative 10. I could cheat right now and just put a negative 6 and a negative 3 and a 2 and a 5, but there's not a whole lot of space between these numbers, so let's just go ahead and count them all out. So that's negative 9, negative 8, negative 7, here's negative 6, here's negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0. And I know 0 isn't one that we had to do, but I'm going to put a little special mark there just to say that that's an important place because now we're changing from negative to positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And there we go. They're in order on a number line from least to greatest, just from smallest to largest. All right. Let's use the number line again. This time, instead of thinking about it first, let's just start placing them on the number line. But in order to do that, we need to know which one is the smallest. Now, we know it's going to be negative. What's the biggest looking number that happens to be negative? 9. So we'll start over here at negative 9. Now this time, I want you to kind of keep an eye here as we count. Okay, because we're just going to make lines, and when we say a number that shows up here, that's when we're going to write one down. -8, -7, -6. That's one of our numbers. -5, -4, -3. That's one of our numbers. -2, -1, 0. Remember last time I said that was really important. This time it's included in one of our numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 5 is the biggest number here. So that is all of them listed again in order without necessarily thinking about it first and just counting along the number line. So let's get back to this absolute value idea. Remember, absolute value, the definition, is the distance that a number is from 0. Sometimes the word used to describe absolute value is magnitude. You're looking for the magnitude of a number. How far is it from 0? And the big idea that we talked about was that it is always positive. So the absolute value of 25 is 25 spaces or jumps away from 0. A positive 25. How about -15? Well, even though it's a negative number, we're going to the left, but -15 is 15 jumps or spaces away from 0. And it's a positive 15. So let's do these two real quick. -32. Well, it's negative right now, so it becomes positive 32 because it's 32 spaces away from 0. And the number 68, well, it's already positive. It's 68 spaces away from 0. Some people casually refer to absolute value as the positive maker. But that is a quick little lesson on integers and absolute value.